Last year, Samsung caught almost everyone off guard when it launched the Galaxy Z Fold 7. For a long time, Samsung's foldable lineup had clearly fallen behind its rivals. Brands like Oppo, Honor, and others were pushing thinner, lighter, more refined foldables, while Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold series started to feel bulky, boxy, and dated by comparison. It got to the point where Samsung had to release a special model just for China, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 SE. That phone was designed specifically to compete with the intense competition in that market. And it turned out so good that Samsung basically used it as the blueprint for its global comeback. Samsung took that Fold 6 SE, refined it, polished a few things, and repackaged it as the Galaxy Z Fold 7, the foldable flagship we all ended up talking about. Suddenly, we had a Samsung foldable that was slimmer, more elegant, and more modern, instead of just another heavy, boxy brick. And the market responded immediately. Sales shot up, interest returned, and for the first time in a while, Samsung felt truly competitive again in the world of foldable phones. With the Galaxy Z Fold 7, Samsung didn't just catch up to Oppo, Honor, and other Chinese brands in design and hardware. In many ways, it actually managed to surpass them. The hinge was better, the outer display was more usable, and the overall fit and finish felt truly premium. But even with all of those improvements, the Fold 7 still had one clear weakness, maybe two if you're being really picky. Those weaknesses are exactly what Samsung has the chance to fix with the upcoming Galaxy Z Fold 8. And if it does, this could be the closest thing we've ever had to a perfect foldable smartphone. Let's start with the most obvious problem every foldable phone faces: the crease. On the Galaxy Z Fold 7, the crease is much better than in previous generations. When you're using the phone straight on, especially with the brightness up and content on the screen, you barely notice it. If you're not actively hunting for it, it almost disappears. Samsung made huge improvements here compared to older folds and flips, and in daily use it's not a deal breaker, but at the end of the day, it's still there. Run your finger across the center of the unfolded display, and you feel that dip. Tilt the screen just right under certain lighting, and the crease becomes obvious again. And for a lot of people, that crease is the one thing that still makes foldable phones feel unfinished. Apple reportedly delayed its own foldable iPhone for years because it wasn't happy with the crease situation. Most leaks suggest that even Apple's first foldable will still have some kind of crease, no matter how subtle. Completely eliminating it has been one of the hardest challenges in the foldable display industry. But this is where Samsung seems ready to pull ahead again. Recently, Samsung publicly showed off a new crease-free foldable display technology, and it looks seriously impressive. For the first time, we're seeing a foldable panel that can bend without leaving that permanent, visible line across the middle. The screen looks almost completely flat when unfolded, with no obvious valley or ridge. The engineering behind this is complex. It involves changes in the hinge design, the layers used in the flexible OLED, and the way stress is distributed along the fold. But the key takeaway is simple. Samsung appears to have finally solved the crease problem, or at least reduced it to the point where it's practically invisible. If Samsung is ready to mass-produce this new display tech, the Galaxy Z Fold 8 could become the world's first mainstream foldable phone that truly feels crease-free. Imagine opening your Fold 8 and seeing a display that looks almost like a regular tablet screen, with no distracting line in the center. That alone would be a huge selling point and a massive leap forward for the entire category. Now, as exciting as a crease-free Galaxy Z Fold 8 sounds, there's another issue Samsung absolutely has to address: battery life. If there's one recurring weakness across many recent Samsung flagships, it's battery capacity. Even the upcoming Galaxy S26 Ultra is rumored to stick with the same 5,000 mAh battery size we've seen for years. And while 5,000 mAh is fine in a regular phone, foldables are a different story. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 shipped with a 4,400 mAh battery. That was already behind several competitors when it launched, and things have only gotten more competitive since. Foldable phones have larger, more power-hungry displays, and people use them heavily for media, multitasking, and productivity. All of that demands more power. Meanwhile, rival brands are pushing battery tech aggressively. For example, The upcoming Honor Magic V6 is rumored to pack a massive 7150 mAh battery in a foldable form factor. That's a huge difference compared to 4400 mAh. On paper, that kind of capacity gap translates to very real, all-day endurance advantages in real world. Samsung has already shown that it can fit bigger batteries into complex devices. Just look at the Galaxy Z Trifold, which reportedly manages a 5600 mAh battery, even in markets like the US. If Samsung can do that in a tri-folding device, there's no reason the Galaxy Z Fold 8 should still be stuck in the low $4,000 mAh range. With competition heating up and with Apple's first foldable iPhone apparently moving into production on schedule, Samsung is under real pressure. It can't afford to bring another premium foldable to market that feels compromised on battery life. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 needs a clear upgrade in battery capacity if it wants to be taken seriously as the best foldable phone for power users, gamers, and professionals. So, on one side, we have the crease, the visual and tactile reminder that you're using a first-generation technology. On the other, we have battery life, the practical limitation that can make or break your experience with a foldable over a full day of use. The exciting part is that Samsung is in a position where it can realistically fix both with the Galaxy Z Fold 8. Think about how close the Galaxy Z Fold 7 already was to being the ideal foldable. It had a much more comfortable design, improved hinge durability, better displays, and polished software. Despite strong competition, it still sold extremely well. Samsung was confident enough to raise its sales expectations for foldables compared to previous years, something it hadn't done in a long time. People have shown that if Samsung makes a foldable that looks good, feels premium, and delivers a solid user experience, they will buy it in huge numbers. The brand recognition is there, the trust is there, and the curiosity about foldables is definitely there. Now imagine this. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 arrives with a nearly crease-free display, a visibly larger battery, and Samsung's promise of long-term software support. 7 years of updates, just like its latest flagships. That combination would be extremely hard for any competitor to beat. You'd have a foldable that finally looks and feels like a mature product. No annoying crease down the middle, no anxiety about running out of battery halfway through the day, and years of Android updates and security patches guaranteed. For a lot of people, that might be the moment when foldables stop feeling like a tech experiment and start feeling like a no-brainer upgrade. In that scenario, it's not hard to imagine the Galaxy Z Fold 8 being called the most complete, most polished foldable phone ever released. Meanwhile, Apple's foldable iPhone, which once dominated the rumor cycle and stole attention from the iPhone 18 series, is starting to feel less magical if it launches with a visible crease and a conservative battery. For some users, Apple might already have lost the psychological race, because Samsung looks ready to deliver the version of a foldable phone that people actually wanted from the start. So the question now is simple. If Samsung nails both of these, upgrades, a crease-free display and a significantly bigger battery, would anything be able to stop the Galaxy Z Fold 8 from becoming the king of foldable smartphones? Would you prioritize a completely smooth, flat inner display with no visible crease or all-day battery life with a huge capacity bump? And with Apple entering the foldable game later than Samsung, are you more excited for the Galaxy Z Fold 8 or for the first foldable iPhone? Share your thoughts, because the decisions Samsung makes with the Galaxy Z Fold 8 could define the future of foldable phones for years to come.